Welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show where we discuss all things political, bringing you the top stories locally, nationally, and from around the world. I'm Tundu Abiola, and This Day Live begins now. Welcome back. I'd like to welcome today's panelists, Chike C. Ogia, former Commissioner of Information, Delta State, and Kayode Komolafe, Deputy Managing Director of This Day newspapers. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
The arraignment of Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Walter Samuel Nkanu Onnoghen, has been greeted with massive pushback by senior lawyers, politicians, and human rights groups, warning government of the grave implications of such an action. With the 2019 elections just a little over 30 days away, the announcement of the impending trial of the CJN over non-declaration of assets sent shockwaves which reverberated across the country as many prominent politicians, including former vice president and presidential candidate of the leading opposition party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, condemned the move. Also, over 150 senior advocates of Nigeria, senior lawyers, are mobilizing themselves to defend the Chief Justice on Monday before the Justice Danladi Yakubu-led Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT. So, gentlemen, according to the courts of public opinion, the verdict is in. And as you can hear, the pushback is pretty much uniform.
Yeah.
Do I have any dissenting opinions on this panel?
Well, you know, even before we go into that, for me, it is very, very unfortunate. And, you know, I'm not looking at this through the eyes of any kind of political prism at all. And I'm being very, very frank here. I'm looking at it basically as a Nigerian and as a minister in the Temple of Justice, because I'm a lawyer. And what is happening is actually horrendous, to say the least. Because, you see, we are talking about the head of an arm of government. There are three arms of government in any democracy. And no matter what has happened, no matter, you say, I'm not holding brief for the CJN, if indeed he is indeed guilty of any infractions, the rule of law is there to be followed. There's a procedure. Deal with it. You understand what I mean? But with the kind of indecent haste we saw of, you know, supposed filing of some papers, or writing up, or I don't even know when the investigation was done, by Wednesday, by Friday you have filed, by Monday you are arraigning. Oh God, this is something that clearly stipulates, apart from the Justice Ngwajinwa's case, which is more or less the locus classicus on this, which is clear that any judicial officer, not even the highest ranking judicial officer, before he is made culpable of any offense, he has to be taken to the National Judicial Council, the NJC. That is the body that has the power to investigate him first. And based on the recommendation of that council, before you can now talk about any form of arraignment or prosecution or whatever. Now you can say the NJC is constituted by the Chief Justice of the Federation, he's a member, the people that are, well, that is the law. Go and amend that law. If you think you want to avoid the situation where you don't want someone to be a judge in his own cause, which I understand that's against the principle of natural justice and all that, you know. But I don't know, I'm beginning to think, now let me go a little bit political, that maybe there's a fifth columnist in this government, somebody that wants not just the government to fail, but someone that wants to bring Nigeria into total ruin. That is my feeling, and
You're
I'm really
sounding like Mrs. Buhari with the shadowy cabal.
I'm getting scared. I don't know about any cabal, but because this should be beyond the cabal, I don't know what is going on. But I'm scared. I don't even know whether, you know, elections are going to happen
So
with
tell
the
me
way
exactly,
we're going.
what are your fears? What are you scared of right now?
My fears are that for a pluralistic society as we have, you see, they said it is on the day you kill the madman on the street that you realize that he comes from somewhere. That madman that you see and you go past every day, you know, that's when you realize he has relatives. This Chief Justice, that is being treated as if he's a third-class citizen in Nigeria, is supposedly number in the hierarchy? Okay.
Three? No, three is the Senate President.
Maybe
number
five.
After the Speaker, then is the Chief Justice.
Okay, number 5, man of the country, to be hurriedly being tried to be arraigned this way. Look, I pray it never happens, though. I pray he's never arraigned. You see, because the optics are so bad. It's not even about the end effect. It is whether he's found culpable at the end of the day and all that. I'm not even going to go all that because I don't have a problem with that once the procedure is followed. You understand what I'm saying? But if they want to do it with this way they are trying to do it, getting that man, it's not going to be like what they did with the Senate President. Because we're talking about the judiciary here. You understand? You are trying to use the judiciary against itself. And I can assure you, I'm a lawyer. I don't know how far that will go. All that 150 SANs, there's no need for that. Even just one junior in any of those SANS chambers should just go and file a preliminary objection.
No,
and I'm sure it will be thrown out.
The fact that there's 150 SANS trying to rise up and create this battalion is also for the optics that you were talking about. It's to show the unity, like what happened in Pakistan in 2007 when their president at the time, Pervez Musharraf, unconstitutionally suspended the Chief Justice of Pakistan's Supreme Court.
Yes.
And the lawyers had this thing called the lawyers' movement, the black coat protest, and they came out in their masses also to protest. So do you think we might be headed in that direction?
That's what I'm saying. I think we can even save ourselves that.
And not even get that
Yes,
far.
please.
Mr. Kamalafe, what's your view on the whole furore?
Yes, I'm not a lawyer. No, so but I've listened to what lawyers from various perspectives have said. And that is why I'm also, as a citizen, shocked that those who filed I imagine that it's lawyers who must have filed the charges, that they are not aware of the position of the law as it has been stated, Like I said, when the other day when some judges were to be prosecuted, there's a ruling, I think, of the Court of Appeal that says that you have to go through the NJC before, and that, I understand, is still the position of the law, which is quite obvious, that one does not need to go to law school to, as laymen. That's clear. So my first shock is that the lawyers who are doing this prosecution, that is that they are not aware of that position of the law, or they think they could get around it. But that is, but my greater interest is even political. And that is how I am also shocked that there is not enough of a sense of responsibility, in dealing with what is obviously a very sensitive issue. We should not forget that before the CJN was appointed, some months ago, there was a lot of controversy, in this country, and for maybe in the last, to the best of my knowledge, in the last, how many years, that was the first time the appointment of the CJN that you have political forces in different parts of the country issuing statements and taking position, issuing ultimatum. Yes, it was, and the argument then was that before him, maybe for the previous 25 years, 30 years, that that position had been occupied by people from a section of the country, and that now maybe just by coincidence or the accident of history, it was to be occupied by a man from the south-south geopolitical zone, of the country. So that's how I'm surprised that those who are pursuing this are not sensitive on that particular point, and that it was quite predictable. One does not need to be a pundit to know that this could lead to a fiasco, which is what we are going to have, both politically as well as, constitutionally, Then it is also quite clear, again, one does not need to be a lawyer to know this. The appointment, the discipline, the removal of the CJN, it clearly stated in the Constitution. So if anybody wants to remove the CJN, I think the lawful thing to do, that is, if people have respect for the rule of law, is to go by what the Constitution says. But I'm even saying that even if you want to even go to that beyond the legal, a sense of responsibility would demand that you should also be conscious of the political sensitivity, More also that we are talking of almost just about a month to election. And that whatever projection you make, there could be a role for the court to play, ultimately in the election. So this even compounds the sensitivity of the situation. So the timing, the approach, the conception is mind-boggling, And I think it would be proper that the federal government should just take, the wise counsel, and that is that for these charges to be withdrawn, and save the nation, of another crisis,
Because it does paint such a poor picture. But then what do we do as the media, members of the public, opposition parties, other than making calls for the withdrawal? Calls can go unheeded. They can go ignored.
Well, you see, the truth is, I'm sure you've seen in the last 48 hours, the social media is agog. In fact, this is all everyone is talking about in Nigeria right now, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we've had a near crisis, because I still want to call it that, of this magnitude in a long time, save for maybe when there was that attempted coup d'etat, excuse me, at the National Assembly. This matter is so serious, and I assume the nation has a chief legal officer. I assume we have a team in the Ministry of Justice who I think will do the right thing and promptly advise Mr. President, because there were some things I even saw on the social media which actually said the president is even unaware of this. So obviously some people have done this somewhere. I haven't seen anything to say the chief judicial officer of the country, that is the Attorney General, has taken ownership of this either. I've not seen that anywhere. What I've seen is that there's some young man, something Aganya, I've forgotten it, who they say used to be a PA, from some civil society group, ADI or something. He is the one that filed this petition, and he apparently used to work with the president when he was in the CPC. Maybe they say it was his PA then or something, when he was in his own party.
Kind of an aide,
some kind of relationship. Now, like you rightly said, like you rightly know, EFCC, most of these agencies, it takes just any Nigerian to file a petition. So it doesn't necessarily have to go through any judicial officer. But where it becomes worrisome now is that obviously it is the state that would do the prosecution, and they've taken it to the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where, don't forget, the head of that tribunal also has a question mark hanging over his own integrity.
Yes.
Remember the last time he had this issue of whether he himself accepted the bribe,
yes,
and all that. So that is the man that is now going to sit. Please, they should not burn the judiciary, because what is about to happen will be chaotic. And Nigerian judiciary and Nigerian, the justice sector generally in Nigeria, the bar and the bench, are some of the best you can find anywhere in the world. And this particularly pains me. I have not been practicing as a lawyer for a very long time, but I'm a very, very senior lawyer. And I have worked in some of the best chambers in this country. And it's really sorry. It pains my heart if they want to do this, because I see this as a way to destroy the judiciary, if you ask me.
I agree. I'm completely outraged. But Mr. Kamala, I want us to look at the politics now. JK just said this whole move has not been taken up by the president. There are reports that he knows nothing of it. The Attorney General has not owned it. However, APC, the political party, is quick to approve of it and dismiss what they have described as baseless conspiracy theories, and they feel there are no sacred cows. This is the correct thing to do. What is it in your view that sort of blinds certain people at a time like this to what is right and what is true? Not everything is about party politics, surely.
Well, I suppose your question is a bit prejudicial. There's an issue people are bound to see from different perspectives. So the mere fact that somebody does not see it from your perspective does not mean that he's
no,
blind.
But it's not, it's not a conspiracy theory.
It's not blind. No,
as a conspiracy theory
you may
is
disagree.
wrong.
Yes, I mean that is the perspective, of that organization, of seeing it. You may not agree with it. I don't agree with him, for example, myself, but I don't think that is blind. But to actually respond to your question, I understand. I understand that the federal government will be making a statement today. So I think that will answer the question of whether the president is aware of it, what is the position of the Attorney General.
No, now I'm talking about the parties, the political parties, and ratcheting up this tension. That is what I'm referring to.
Tundu, but I'm aware that a very senior, well, he's not really in government, if you say that's Professor Ishe Sage, who's a presidential advisor, but I don't think he's strictly in, in government. What he said, which I heard over the news yesterday night, was that, like what you're saying, there's no sacred cow. He welcomes it. He thinks it's the way to go. He thinks whatever the issues are will be trashed out in court. I was horrified, to say the least, and I was surprised, that such a senior colleague and a learned professor, would see it that way. And he was totally silent on the procedure. He was totally silent on the rule of law. So I don't know whether some partisanship was creeping in there, but he's so much older than me that I don't want to say too much, but to say the least, I found that statement quite shocking.
This is what I find disturbing.
We should get certain things clear.
Yes.
I think what is bad in what is being done now is that clearly the rule of law is not being followed. No, we must distinguish that from the fact that if the CJ does not have immunity,
Definitely.
Yes.
And the anti-corruption, to fight corruption is that while you cannot prosecute the president, but you can be investigated.
Yes. Because he has immunity.
He has immunity. Anybody could be investigated. So as to the fact that corruption, that you could investigate corruption, accuse anybody of corruption, I think as a matter of principle, don't let us say that. That is bad. But what?
I never suggested that it's bad.
Let me just finish.
I never suggested that at all.
Your question is that you said in a situation like this, what blinds some people from seeing it?
Okay.
I'm saying that, and just like the case of Professor Sage, you said, or the party. Let me just finish here. I'm saying that yes, there's an issue. They are expressing their own, perspectives,
That's
which,
right.
by the way, for instance, personally as a citizen, I don't agree with. I don't agree.
But they have a right to their perspective.
I agree with her, and I don't think that their position is blind. It's just the way that they are looking at it.
No, all I said. You continue, but I need to interject here. All I said was that for a learned professor of law to be silent on the rule of law, that is.
And Professor Sage is not, he's addressing the issue. He's not dismissing it as a conspiracy theory, which is exactly what I said. It's not a conspiracy theory. There's actually an issue here. Now, whether your opinion, like Professor Sage's, differs from Chike's, but it's valid on the issues, it's not to be dismissed. I'm talking about the tension between the political parties, not just with this situation, also with the Electoral Act, that was not amended, also with the issue of Amina Zachary. All of these things are adding, also with the tenure elongation of the Inspector General of Police. Things are getting obfuscated by politics. And it's creating tension, and especially with this kind of a situation where there's an ethnic dimension, because the CJN is from the South, and there's a motion being moved tomorrow, or planned to be moved, that he should vacate his seat and then be replaced by a gentleman, a justice from Bauchi. What are your views on this in the lead up to the elections?
Yes, that's what I was saying. That my advice would be that people should proceed with a sense of responsibility. That for anybody in government to take a step, and to pretend to be oblivious of the sensitivity of the issues, which have itemized that they are political, it will be irresponsible, and especially when they even go about, in a way that is demonstrably incompetent, that they are giving it. But then, that does not mean that if you are having political controversy, it's not tension. It's the nature of politics. Because some of the issues we're talking about, they're actually politics. So if people don't argue, if there's no controversy in politics, then what is?
So you don't share Chike's fears?
Yeah, I don't share.
You're cool, calm, and collected right now.
You think there's nothing amiss? Well, you see, it depends on the way you look at it.
No, I'm not saying there's nothing amiss. No,
okay.
Get my point right. I am saying that that is why we should separate the issue. I thought we were still dealing with the issue of the CJN. I said the issue of the CJN, that it would be irresponsible of anybody not to recognize the sensitivity, of the issue,
Okay.
Especially when we are very close to the election,
Okay, fine.
an election in which anybody can reasonably project that the judiciary may have a role to play, and which should be a very decisive one. If there is a dispute, the final court is the Supreme Court, and the CJN is the person who presides over it. So nothing should be done that will suggest that you are being prejudicial, or trying to be preemptive. That's what I mean by being responsible.
That's right.
So I say that one, to me, it is. I'm as shocked as any other Nigerian that whoever is contemplating this prosecution at this time,
yes,
could be so irresponsible. But as for the other items, which you have listed,
the one with one drama, I don't mind that.
I am saying that that is the nature of politics.
And you think
that in fact, if you remove that from, if you remove that controversy from politics, then it will be like a meal without spice.
But to my mind, don't you
there's
think?
No tension. Yeah, there's
don't
no tension,
you think it is getting too much, especially when most of these things are needless? It is clear you want to do something about maybe the Inspector General of Police. Do it and let us react. I think it's on the 15th, right?
Yes.
That is when the date will be due for the man to retire or not. Then if he's going to elongate the man, I know it's been done before. He won't be the first person to elongate the tenure of a police inspector general. There's a precedent and all that. But usually, you see, when these things happen, and that's why we are having a problem with the optics now, it's usually a southern president, maybe elongating that of a northern police IGP, or vice versa. But I think maybe Obasanjo did it for Hindero.
Yes,
I'm not so sure. Okay, so that was South, right? But the truth is that, what about the case of Mrs. Zachary? It's a simple thing. Are you connected? Forget blood, because blood is not the issue. Sometimes there are much stronger ties than blood, and people should realize that blood is not everything. There are some brothers and sisters who are worst of enemies to each other. I'm sure you know that.
I don't know that. No.
So, what I'm saying...
I'm surprised that you are saying this as a lawyer.
Yes.
Chika, I ask you, are a lawyer.
Yes.
Tell me which part of the Electoral Act says that for you to take the job, you must not be in any way connected. No, nobody's contesting.
We're not talking about
law.
It is. We're not talking about law now. We are talking about what makes
people,
people,
because you wear your partisan binocular, then you think that whoever does not see it, from your...
Can I interject here?
I have my views.
What I'm saying
there's a provision for integrity.
What I would expect people to do is that if you feel that any law has been violated, go to court.
No, we're not talking about law.
There's a provision for integrity, though. May I, gentlemen?
We are talking about...
May I?
Okay, please.
There's a provision for integrity. She was appointed as a National Electoral Commissioner, and there's supposed to be people of unquestionable integrity. If your integrity can be questioned, then that can be argued as falling short of that high standard. And her integrity, she's done nothing wrong, obviously, because the elections have not occurred. But if there's a question as to her suitability for that role, why can't she simply be redeployed for the sake of sensibility, for the sake of peace and harmony?
Why should he be redeployed? Was it Buhari who appointed her?
No, it's got nothing to do with Buhari.
It was a PDP.
It's the INEC.
She had served two PDP. She had served the PDP president
in different capacities. Not as head of collation.
And she was appointed to that particular position by a PDP president.
No, she was not. She was appointed as head of collation. It's the contention. The title is the contention. She was appointed as head of collation now under this government. The INEC.
No, again you are wrong. Again you are wrong. INEC has explained that she has nothing to do with collation.
Hold on.
Our job is to set up the center.
Collation, sir. Her job title, sir, is head of collation.
Her job
title is head of collation. Her job title is head of collation.
We're all speaking together, but wait.
No, we're not speaking together.
No, I mean, we're talking at the same time, and nobody can hear.
Yes, her job title is quite clear.
Let me tell you something, and this is my own reasoning about this. Like you said, this has absolutely nothing to do with the law, but it has to do with, like she said, issues of integrity. Now you say she's the head of the collation.
Integrity has not been questioned.
Hold on I'm building a foundation.
Nobody has questioned our integrity.
Yes, I'm going somewhere. I haven't got to where I'm going. So we're saying we are talking about issues of integrity when it comes. Now you say she's in charge of collation and welfare or whatever, right? Just to make sure that that center works. That center.
She's not in charge of collation.
No, of welfare. Let's just even call it welfare. That center works. And that center, you know, is the hub, is the engine room of the elections. The chairman of INEC is the chief collation officer. He will be the one to read the results. But do you know that the Wi-Fi, they are sending in results from different states. And then there's an issue with the Wi-Fi. And then they have to do something manually. You think people will not say she's the one that sabotaged it? You see, so those are the things you want to avoid. That's what I'm saying.
It's so clear. But
those are the things you want to avoid.
It's so obvious. It's so clear. The United States, now we're going to America, has raised alarms that the widespread vote buying could mar Nigeria's general elections coming up next month. The U.S. Deputy Ambassador Jonathan Cohen, who spoke during a United Nations Security Council meeting on West Africa, urged politicians, civil society groups, and community leaders to ensure that the elections were free and fair. Cohen said, quote, "The United States sees a risk that widespread vote buying could challenge the integrity of the election process," end quote. So what is your view on the widespread practice of vote buying? We have this sort of patronage, if it's bags of rice or whatever. At what point do we now start to actually prosecute people who are caught in this practice? Because we do have laws that support that. Section 124 of the Electoral Act gives a fine, an option for a fine of 500,000 naira or a year in prison. But nobody has ever really been prosecuted. There've been arrests, but no prosecutions
and convictions.
How are we going to curb this?
This is a very, 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 very dicey one, because it's one of those issues that we observe them more in their breach, whether we like it or not. Like you said, it's a dead letter law as far as I'm concerned. And what really is vote buying? Let's define vote buying. And who is not guilty of vote buying? You see, those are the issues. Who is not guilty of vote buying? Who hasn't been buying votes in Nigerian election all these years? So those are the kind of things that I think, you know, we should look at. Okay, there's this hue and cry now about the vice president, this trader money. Some people see it as some form of indirect form of vote buying. You go into the market and you're handing out money and all that. And, well, I know there have been welfare schemes that the different governments have done before, whether they went into the market, exactly, you understand, to give money directly to the traders or not, I don't know. And then, you know, all we need to do is just go back to Osun election, go back to Ekiti election. Everything we want to know about these elections happened there. So, you know, there's no rocket science about this. How do we want to handle it? Every possible scenario we should come against in February, or March, or whenever these elections are coming up, we have seen.
Yes, in the Osun and Ekiti state elections, absolutely.
So if the world is screaming, I don't know whether they have something new that they want to bring in, you know, because vote buying from, like I said, the ones that are visible, that you can see, to the politicians coming to your house late at night when we are all asleep and delivering the packets and the words of naira and bags of rice or whatever they want to use to induce voters, has always been in Nigeria.
So how can you really arrest it? Mr. Komalafe, have you seen the INEC guidelines whereby INEC is banning the use of cameras and smartphones at the point of polling, not at the general polling stations, but when you're placing your vote, to prevent people taking a picture of who they voted for and giving it to somebody for consideration? Are you satisfied with that, or do you think it could be a lot more far-reaching?
It could be more far-reaching. Whatever could be done to prevent people influencing the making of choice by people, it should be encouraged. But let me just address this question of vote buying. It's a problem. My first point is that, yes, it's a problem that as Nigerians we are conscious of, and we know that it's so. And I think the way out is to ensure that when people commit electoral offenses, they should be punished. And that will come back again to the question of setting up electoral tribunal, which, interestingly, from both parties, all the parties, nobody has taken that seriously. Whether the National Assembly, whether the executive, whether PDP or APC, and maybe that could be because they are all in. They're all beneficiaries. So that's yes. Then to also just for record, the insinuation that maybe the trader money. I think again, to me, it's very unfair, to say that, because the trader money was appropriated by the National Assembly. It was put in the Nigerian budget.
Yes.
So you are saying that the National Assembly appropriated money, for the design. Yes, anywhere. So the mere fact that you're going to have election, does not mean that the government will stop executing its program. This is the illegitimate program of a government. Estimates were made for it. The National Assembly appropriated the money, and where I find it very particularly offensive, for those who are saying it from the position, is that, it's annoying, because this is the money that goes to the poor people directly.
Then is it? Is
What is
it the optics?
What is the optics? What is the optics? It's an insult. It's an insult on the poor people, the poor market women. Why is it that the only thing they benefit from government is what you are not criminalizing?
Why could
become a crime?
Why could we not set?
It's an insult on the people.
No. Before we even go to all that, why should we not set something up?
Yes.
A structure.
Yes.
That is how it's done. Put a structure in place, get people to form cooperatives or whatever. We have all kinds of instruments we can use, the Bank of Industry, the Bank of Development.
This money is being disbursed by the Bank of Industry.
Fine.
No,
What structure are you talking about again?
But the program is being executed.
Yes.
That's grassroots politics.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. The optics.
And what is the crime in it?
Which optics?
Which optics? What is the crime in it?
He wants to reach out to the people.
Yes.
So it's not. This is the problem with conspiracy theories and mudslinging. Yeah. This is a social welfare program. It's to be distinguished from vote buying.
And the pity.
So what is the crime?
Hold on, Coyote. The pity of this all is that, like I said myself, these are things. Look, I've been around a long time. I don't have to start saying how old I am, but I've been around a long time, and I've seen a lot of politicking go on, right from the NPN and even before, right? And all these things have all been done one way or the other. I think the problem is just because this country is so polarized now. That, I think, is the issue, Coyote.
Yes,
not necessarily that
the
people...
mistrust.
Yes, there's so much mistrust everywhere. Because, you see, like you rightly said, now this money was appropriated for. But the people that are screaming the most are the legislators that appropriated it.
Yes,
this is why I resent everything being boiled down to APC, PDP. We lose sight of what is important. We need a social welfare program.
Somehow or the other, we have gotten there, and it's so terrible for the country.
It really is.
And how we can get out of there. Look, I believe, like you rightly said, the poor of the poorest, they are the ones that are benefiting from this. And I believe they have every right to be given, that help. Definitely, but all I'm saying is that, is there no way we can do it, either, like I said, form corporate, so that this thing just is going into people's accounts and all that quietly, or you're training them for some skills and give them monies to buy starter packs. Different kinds of welfare programs have been on.
You're likening the sort of visuals of the vice president in the marketplace with vote buying.
Yes, that's
Mr.
what...
Komolafe, you are adamant that it is absolutely not.
And that is what people are saying.
So how do you define
It's not necessarily what I am saying.
How do you define
that is what people are saying. That I'm sure you know. That is the preconceived.
I'm saying that those who are saying it, they are wrong, and they are insulting the people. Yes, in fact, they owe the people apology by that kind of statement.
Where do you draw the line between a government performing on its promises and vote buying?
Okay. Vote buying is quite clear.
Shike is a politician now. You know,
No, I'm not a politician. I was a politician. I'm not a politician. Nigerian politics.
Okay.
I can't.
When you are in PDP, and you are delivering in Delta, you know, you don't need to go to marketplace to go and deliver. To deliver votes now. Now vote by is simple. It's simple. Actually, it's at the eve of the election, you know, like they say that critical night, you know, election is tomorrow, so tonight is going to be the critical thing, you know, that they will move the money right, go to people and distribute money just for the election. And now, because the crime has not been, I mean, there hasn't been any sufficient punishment for those who have been the crime. They now, you know, even now, I mean, they've got to the very busiest right at the polling booth. Yes, somebody will stay somewhere, you know, and call a voter that you go and vote for party ABC, you know, and you vote, and then you come and show evidence that you have voted, and then you pay. Yes. So the transaction actually takes place at the polling booth.
So that is a distinction.
So not in the market.
From what we read, like I said, all that occurred in Osun and Ekiti.
Yes.
So there's no reinventing the wheel.
Yes.
Let us take that as a playbook. And start dealing with it from there. Okay. I just told you the extension.
I'm saying that we should go a step further, getting the structure to punish those who commit it, because it's a crime.
It is a crime.
But we just reduce the politics, abuse. It's not just lamenting and abusing people of vote buying. The thing is to punish those who commit it, because it's a crime.
Yes, and we don't need the U.S. observers to tell us that this is an issue. We all know it's an issue, but it has not been tackled as one because of all the finger pointing and sort of blame apportioning that goes on. This is clearly a crime. People were arrested. Did you see the pictures of the kind of shamefaced alleged perpetrators in the Osun State election?
Definitely.
They were arrested with some of their paraphernalia, but they have not been convicted. Exactly. No, arrested, and that was it.
No, I'm sure that matters.
That is the issue for me.
It's not taken seriously.
That's why I say it's a dead letter law. Registration
of underage voters is another one that just gets swept under the carpet, but these are electoral offenses.
I mean, on the social media, you see them. You see the voter's card of a 14-year-old boy.
Yes.
You see the face like a little child.
These are electoral offenses, and people don't get prosecuted.
They all have cards. How did they get those cards?
Yes. No.
You know?
It's time now for a break here on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. When we return, we'll be discussing about the teenager who has been granted asylum by Canada after fleeing from Saudi Arabia. Stay with us.